Hello, sister travelers. Well, what would you do if you had one day to spend in Bruges, Belgium? Well, I'm going to share today what I did when I had one day there, how to get there, where to stay, and what to see. So stay tuned. Welcome to Solo Travel Adventures, my sisters. Don't let fear hold you back from traveling alone. I want you to gather your courage, listen to inspiring stories, and learn how to travel solo while safely navigating new places from this show. I'm Cheryl Esch, solo travel advocate and travel coach, and I want you to have a transformative experience when you travel solo. So pack your bags, book your flight, and check one more time for that passport. It's time to explore the world. So I don't know about you, but I had kept hearing about Bruges. And with a trip that I did last year to Europe, I figured while I was over there, I needed to check it out. I had heard from so many people that had been there how delightful it was. So in doing some research, first of all, I guess I'd like to tell you, where is Bruges? What is it? A little bit about the city. So Bruges is in the northwest part of Belgium. Now, most of us, when we think Belgium, we think Brussels, right? Well, Bruges, I have not been to Brussels, but I hear Bruges is so much better. So it has such a picturesque streets, mostly untouched by World War II. It has maintained all of the historic medieval feel to it, with its 14th century city hall and 13th century bell tower with panoramic views over the whole city. I mean, Bruges is just such a quaint little quiet city with very beautiful canals along the way, just like Amsterdam, but less touristy in my opinion. It is also UNESCO World Heritage location. So how do you get there? Well, once you're over in Europe, it's actually fairly easy to get to. It's easiest to get to by train. You can take a train from Brussels, which is only about an hour and 15-minute train ride. I took my train from Amsterdam. I did require 2 quick train changes, but it didn't take terribly long either. I didn't have to wait very long when I had to change trains. And then Paris, you can also get there from Paris. I actually left Brussels and took a train into Paris, which can take you right into the Paris airport, actually. So if you are planning to be in maybe any of those other countries, taking a day trip to Bruges needs to be on your list. You need to get that added in there for yourself. Now, you might want to know, well, where should I stay once I get there? There are lots of places, of course, to stay, but I stayed at the Hotel Brughe, and it is outside of the city center. I took a bus from the train station to get there, and it dropped me off not too far. I had to walk just a few blocks from a bus stop, and it is right on a canal there. It is beautiful. I mean, it was such a cute little place. And as far as price was concerned, I would consider it sort of mid-price, just like a standard hotel here in the US. I had paid about €139 to stay, and it was just so beautiful. Nice clean bathrooms. And I can open my windows and look right out onto that canal that I was near. And, it's like surrounded by cobblestones. I was able to walk everywhere from there. And of course, Bruges is not a terribly huge city, and you can plan to walk as much as if you like to walk. But there's also a bus, like local buses, and they will take you around as well. So if you need to have a little help getting around, the local buses will get you around the city center and even back to the train station for you. Now, there's lots of things you can do. I, of course, highly recommend getting yourself immediately to the market square. It is the center of the city. Brughe Square is also called, and it is surrounded by those medieval buildings. There's restaurants around there. There's a fountain. People were hanging out. It happened to be an actually gorgeous day when I went, and I ended up sitting at a cafe outside. Even though it was April and it was a little chilly, the sun was so warm, and it was great to just sit and watch everybody just kind of doing the same thing. And then so around the market square, there's also the Bell Tower, or Belfort, they call it. And this is that 13th century building that I talked about that you could, it's a little museum inside as well. And you can climb to the Bell Tower top and walk outside and see all the panoramic views of the city. It was just wonderful. And right in that same building, now if you like art, Salvador Dali's exhibit is right there in that same building. And there's an exhibit of 300 plus works of his art there. So if you enjoy going to museums and seeing some art, that museum is there, and it's definitely worth the trip. Other things you can do is a boat trip on the canals. Now, I didn't do that because I had just done a boat trip in Amsterdam, so it would be very similar, but you can take a boat trip. This would give you a nice overview of the city, going through those canals and seeing all the different areas of Bruges. You could also just do a little walk. I took a walk along the Great Canal bike path. And when I was walking along there, I actually ran across some windmills. And on that path, you could also rent a bike and even bike it if you prefer. But in general, that would be probably plenty to fill your day, including having some lunch or dinner there at the square. There's many restaurants you can choose from to go ahead and stay in that square, enjoy seeing the locals and other people just hanging out. I enjoyed it. I liked my walk. I actually took a walk around most of the city from the hotel. I walked to the square and got to see some other churches along the way. You're walking along a lot of cobblestone streets and just seeing everyday life of other people walking. And it just got me a great sense of what the city was like. I loved it because it was a quiet city. Now, it may not be that way in the summer. I was there in April, but I've heard from many people just how they enjoyed the fact that it's not so touristy there, but still has plenty to see. When I came, I walked into the square. They had just finished actually a musical presentation outside on a little stage there. And they were just wrapping up, but they have a lot of events, particularly over the weekends, maybe, that you could look up and see if the day that you're going to be there, if that coincides with any kind of event that might be happening in or near the square there. So if you are in Europe and close to Bruges, you're in Belgium maybe you've decided to go to Brussels, well, take a day and give yourself a chance to go explore Bruges, Belgium. It's definitely worth it. And I'll leave kind of the name of the hotel particularly in the show notes so that you can get that booked. I highly recommend them. The staff there was also very kind and sweet. And it's away from the crowds, but in walkable distance or a bus ride to the city market center, the square there. So give yourself a chance to go see Bruges. It is worth the trip.